Welcome batch 2027. I'm Mark Gotidok, one of the leadership and formation coordinators. I'd like to thank Doc Archie for inviting me to spend some time with you today. Sometimes we ask ourselves, what makes us different from other medical schools? Is it our double degree of MD and MBA? Is it our focus on public health? What makes us different is that we are Ateneo, a Jesuit school. Being a Jesuit school means we are rooted and we follow the way of proceeding of Saint Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Society of Jesus. For the students who came from any Ateneo, you already know who he is. This will just be a refresher, or better yet, a deepening of what you know. For the others, we will get to know some of his ideas and beliefs today. You will all get to know more about him in your journey here in ASMPH. Ignatian spirituality is what makes us different. Ignatian spirituality is our identity as a school. Let me begin by defining what spirituality is. Father James Martin of the Society of Jesus, in his book, A Jesuit Guide to Almost Everything, says, a spirituality is a way of living in relationship with God. We define spirituality not as being religious or being pious. We define it as a relationship, an intimacy with our God, an intimacy with Jesus Christ. Father James Martin then defines what Ignatius' way of proceeding is, what Ignatian spirituality is. He says, the way of Ignatius is about finding freedom. The freedom to become the person you're meant to be, to love and to accept love, to make good decisions, and to experience the beauty of creation and the mystery of God's love. Let me just repeat that. The way of Ignatius is about freedom. The freedom to become the person you are meant to be. The freedom to love and to accept love. The freedom to make good decisions. The freedom to experience the beauty of creation. The freedom to experience the mystery of God's love. Such beautiful words. Ignatian spirituality, however, is not a spirituality that is up there or out there. The beauty of Ignatian spirituality is that it is very helpful not just for Catholics. It has helped Protestants, Christians, Muslims, people of other beliefs, and even non-believers. It can be very helpful to everyone because it's a very practical spirituality. One joke has a Franciscan, a Dominican, and a Jesuit celebrating Mass together when the lights suddenly go out in the church. The Franciscan praises the chance to live more simply. The Dominican gives a learned homily on how God brings light to the world. The Jesuit goes to the basement to fix the fuse. The Jesuits are very practical. Their beliefs and spirituality is practical. This has led the Jesuits to different fields. We have Jesuits who became consultants and chaplains to kings and emperors. We have Jesuits in the arts. We have composers, singers, dancers, painters, and many more. There was even a Jesuit who became a professional clown. We also have Jesuits as scientists. Did you know that 35 craters in the moon's surface are named after Jesuit scientists? Of course, we have Jesuits in the education. We have teachers, professors, theologians, philosophers. And of course, yes, we have Jesuit doctors. Jesuits are also known as independent thinkers. They say that if you talk to 3 Jesuits, you get 5 opinions. So when you ask Jesuit what is the essence of Ignatian spirituality, you get different answers. These answers, however, revolve around 4 concepts. Let's talk about these 4 now. First, Ignatius found God in all things. Before Ignatius, holy people believed that the world was evil. So, in order to find God, one needs to go away from the world. That is why other religious congregations have monasteries found in mountains and deserts. Finding God in all things became one of Ignatius' key beliefs. He found God in the world. He found God in the ordinary. He found God in all things. As we follow the footsteps of Ignatius, we too are asked to find God in all things. As ASMPH students, can we find God as we relate with our batchmates, our professors, the staff, and everyone else we meet? Can we find God when we listen to lectures, when we do our laboratory? Can we find God during sleepless nights as we study for our exams? Second, Ignatius did not want the Jesuits to be contemplatives living in the mountains or in the deserts. He wanted them to be in the world with the people. Hieronimo Nadal, one of Ignatius' early companions, said, "The road is our home." Ignatius believed that Jesuits should live active lives. They were called to be contemplatives in actions. The Jesuits believed that reflection, prayer, and service should come together. Reflection should always lead to service, and the service leads to deeper reflection. As Athenians, we are invited to adopt a contemplative or meditative stance towards the world. We are invited to constant reflection to inform our action. This keeps us rooted in our values, in what we believe in amidst all the other forces that might lead us farther away from our purpose. Okay. Third, as Christians, we believe that God became human, incarnate in the person of Jesus. God was made flesh. Ignatius says that Ignatian spirituality is an incarnational spirituality. That God is made flesh in the everyday. That God makes himself present in the real. One definition of prayer is a long, loving look at the real. This shows a real sense of intimacy with our God, with Jesus Christ. Ignatius loved Jesus so much that he did not want to name his group after himself, like the Franciscans or the Dominicans. Ignatius called their group Compañeros de Jesus, the company of Jesus, or the society of Jesus. Ignatius always asked himself these three questions. What have I done for Christ? What am I doing for Christ? And what ought I do for Christ? Ignatius invites us as Athenians to ask these three questions as well. Fourth, Ignatius' spirituality is about freedom and detachment. Ignatius focused on what was most important, his relationship with God. He looked at his desires and affections and saw that sometimes he had disordered attachments and affections. These are times when we put unimportant things before the more important ones. When we desire money more than God. When we desire fame more than God. As Athenians, we are also invited to freedom and detachment. We ask ourselves, what can we do for God's greater glory? Do our desires for high grades makes us unfree and lead us farther away from God? Do our dreams for a good life make us more unfree and lead us farther away from our purpose? All these might seem a lot right now. It actually might be. You do not have to master everything now. As we journey with you in ASMPH, we will go deeper into all these. Father Juan Bautista, one of the most famous spiritual directors in the Philippines, says that in order to be really immersed in Ignatian spirituality, one must do four things. We must study Ignatian spirituality. We must speak Ignatian spirituality. we must live out Ignatian spirituality, and we must pray Ignatian spirituality. In ASMPH, we will provide you the avenue to do all four. In our Leadership Information Program, we will study Ignatian spirituality. We will continually speak Ignatian spirituality as some beliefs are part of our core values as a school. We'll live out Ignatian spirituality as we study and do our work in ASMPH. And we will pray Ignatian spirituality as part of the Leadership Information Program with the help of the Campus Ministry Office. So to end, Ignatian spirituality is what makes us different from the rest of other medical schools. Ignatian spirituality is a spirituality that finds God in everything. It is a spirituality that calls us to be contemplatives in action. It's a spirituality that recognizes the incarnate Jesus' presence in the everyday. It is a spirituality that leads to freedom and detachment so we could do all for the greater glory of God. Even if you have a different belief as ours, it is our hope that as we study, speak, live out, and pray Ignatian spirituality, you will find that it is a practical help in your personal journey. We are sons and daughters of Ignatius. Ignatian spirituality is our identity. Thank you for listening, and welcome again to ASMPH.